So it's kind of like lead by example in that regard.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I know. Are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary V?
Hi, happy Friday!
Right, exactly. Let me turn the volume on. I was trying to go live on like three different devices and was only successful with two. So,
Well, two is better than one.
right, right. So yeah, hey everyone on YouTube and Facebook and everyone that is joining. Thank you for coming along and hearing our conversation. So, yes, let's see. I am just pulling up some of the information that we had. I know today's topic is the top three mistakes to avoid when it comes to marketing and health, whether you work for someone or you are working for yourself. And so, maybe could you tell a little bit about yourself and what you do with planning nomads? Because the first thing I think of when I hear nomads is like people traveling across
Yeah.
vast areas of land, but to plan it sounds interesting. So,
Yeah, so I am the founder of Nomadic Planning, and we are an experience coordination company. So basically, I was in the field of planning for over 13 years in different areas of hospitality, and I realized if I could do this on my own, what can I take out of it that I like? And I really enjoy creating an experience versus just an event. And so I was like, yeah, and all of my wisdom, I guess you could call it, has been gathered through my nomadic ways of moving and traveling and working in different countries. So that's how nomadic planning came about. So we specialize in events, specifically retreats.
okay, cool. And whether somebody is, because I know when I worked for my previous employer, there were lots of events that went on, like whether it be town halls or company events. But when it comes to like planning a retreat and other things like that, that's important for folks to get away, maybe some team building or bonding experiences for folks. And then you were also able to leverage your previous experience too, which is something that is really important. I think not a lot of people think of that. They're just like, well, let me do a new endeavor and see how it goes. But to be able to leverage your experiences, your skills, and to do that with your own kind of endeavor is really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it took a bit of time to realize that that was the path that I needed to be on, but now we're on it and we're happy about it.
Awesomeness, cool. So when it comes to the first kind of, I guess, marketing and or events mistake, I know one of the things that we had talked about is the art of negotiation. And,
Yes.
this pertains to also budgeting as well. Could you maybe tell our viewers a little bit about what that is and how that's...
Yes, so the art of the negotiation, I timed that into budgeting because really there is no one format that you can have for events because they're all going to vary according to how much money you can put forward. But negotiation comes into play. And so it's remembering that everything is negotiable. And with that, knowing your value and knowing what your worth is, whether it is your target audience, your market that you're bringing in, or just like your presence as a speaker on the stage, and leveraging that in negotiations. And so a negotiation on top of that is trying to find a mutual agreement. And a lot of people think of negotiations as ultimatums, like if this, then, and that's not the way about it. So negotiation is to be very open and find something that works for both parties because both parties want to benefit.
Yeah, I've found value a lot in the counter offer, and it's like an interesting. And then there's also another concept of like, is that your best offer? Asking a question. I know like when I'm on the customer or receiving end, but it's being able to like have a discussion and know that there's not an end all be all with stuff. And I think there is a little bit of wiggle room with some stuff, but also I guess from a customer perspective, but from like maybe a supplier of events or like a company standpoint, it's being able to kind of recognize, is this within scope, is this within budget, and I think that's that's important things to think about.
Yeah, and having realistic expectations, right? So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I want to negotiate and I want you to pay me $1 million. I'm like, well, let's be realistic. So starting from a realistic standpoint
Right.
and then moving from there.
Yep, that makes sense. Another thing that we talked about or that was mentioned was the concept and theme creation. So could you tell us how folks could maybe have a best practice in that or maybe a mistake to avoid in that area?
So So concept and theme that really ties into just events, and why it's important is because it sets expectations, right? And so you need to, with event planning, you really need to manage expectations of your guests, right? So not only guests, your team, and for yourself. And so by having a concept and theme, it's that thread that holds everything together. So if I know that the concept and theme is, Alice in Wonderland, I know that it's going to be like over the top and goofy and playful. And so people are going to dress accordingly, and the food can be according. And so you can tie in and be very creative with all of these elements because it follows that line.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, there's, I guess, maybe the most common social theme and concept is like maybe Halloween parties or like Christmas parties or ugly sweater, parties where people kind of get into the spirit of things. And I think that's kind of cool from a social perspective. And I think from a business perspective, I think, a lot of times people or companies may have like a company, like family, like get together type of event, like a cookout type of thing in the summer, or they may have like a white elephant party or just some type of Christmas party towards the end of the year, which is kind of cool. I mean, it kind of builds, it's like a bonding experience to show that the company does care about its employees and to have a way for everybody to kind of connect and stuff too. I've been a part of a lot of those and have planned a little bit here and there with my previous employer at PepsiCo, and it's fun. There's a lot of food ordering. Food is like one of the biggest expenses, but also the biggest things to like logistically coordinate, because that's pretty much the party.
And you definitely want to put a lot of your budget in food.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, and I see some other people joining, so hello. We have some folks, Keith, and we have Liz on my end, so I just want to say what's up.
I have John and Luke and Jessica. Who else? Yeah.
Okay.
That's on my end.
Coolness. And then one of the other things that we had mentioned was, I guess, the next, so let's see. So you're planning a workshop, right? And so it's so have an effective lead generating strategy for events. Butts in the seats, as kind of I call it, is really important, because I know I plan a lot of events too, and sometimes they're more like this month is very concentrated with events locally. But I know technically when I do YouTube videos or other videos, that's kind of like an event too. Like even this live session was an event, and there's hiccups that can occur clearly, because I was trying to, because I've connected like 5 devices before for like a conversation, but to connect 3 but still experiment a little bit, because I'm using my desktop, I'm using a phone as well as a camcorder, which doesn't sound like too difficult, but I guess I couldn't add you on my desktop through Facebook Live, but I can add you on the phone, but not just as a viewer, but as a participant. So so there's lots of like quirks or things that could happen with regards to the planning execution. But could you talk about your event coming up and maybe the lead generation best practices too?
Yes. So I'll flip that. So the lead generation, that was actually a workshop that I participated in, and I was speaking upon that because a lot of people, I'm getting, a lot of leads that call me and they're like, I want to put together a workshop and I want to make money. So it was really kind of giving them the definition of what is a lead generating event and what is a money making event. Like, what can you monetize on an event and what are going to just generate leads.
Okay.
And so workshops and seminars are more lead generating events. So you have a call to action at the end, whether that is for them to convert into a client or a program or anything like that, or to continue to follow you. And that's really just to get that brand awareness and sort of start warming up that audience, right? And then the more monetizing events, that's going to be retreats, conferences, and like multi-day seminars. And so that was a little bit of the difference that I wanted to sort of educate people on, because people have that expectation of, I'm going to host a workshop for 40 people and make a couple $1,000, and that's not actually the reality. And so each event has its own function. And so that's a little bit of the definition.
Gotcha.
And then for my event that's coming up on November 5th, it is a retreat experience workshop. So I work with a lot of coaches, and I realize that a lot of coaches want to hire me and work with me and have a retreat, plan a retreat, execute a retreat with me. And a grand majority hasn't even attended to a retreat. So how can you plan something that you've never experienced? So We're doing 2-in-1. It's you enjoy the retreat for half of the day. So we have meditation, we have yoga, we have snacks, we have a nice organic lunch. And then we flip the tables and sit down and say, okay, to have all of this come to be, this is the team, this is how I marketed it, this is, how I planned it, this was my budget, and sort of explain so that they have a booklet so that they can start planning their own that very same day.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like lead by example in that regard.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I know, are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary Vee?
No.
Yeah, okay.
That sounds
He's really big on like building a brand, and he talks
Okay.
a little bit about like sometimes you just got to speak for free a whole bunch, and then once you build up enough brand awareness, basically people will start. It's almost like attraction marketing. People start reaching out to you, which is a concept that I like as well. And then also like I get invites every once in a while through Facebook Messenger about events and workshops that are local that are coming up. Most are like either free through a friend, or